All right, I think we're live. All right. Um, well, the light's not too bright in here, but oh well. It's early morning and stuff and all right. One of the things I want to talk about here is last year and they one thing that really pissed me off in a way is that when IU decided that it was a genius idea to get rid of Tom Allen, that was the coach for the IU football team. And I've watched a lot of the IU football games over the past year or so. And back in the fall, I watched some of the games, and then it was um, and then later on, towards the end of the football season, they decided it was a good idea, genius idea. And I'm saying this to be sarcastic and condescending because it was a very stupid idea, not taking into consideration the fact that the reason why that they wanted to blame Tom Allen for him being a bad coach. Well, the reality is to it, they always want to blame the coach for why that the team is having bad performance issues. Well, most teams, the reason why well, let's put it this way. Most coaches end up getting fired or they resign is because they get blamed for what's going on with their players and stuff on the team. Well, it's not Tom Allen's fault that the IU football team has been nothing but a bunch of losers, literally and figuratively, in the past few years. Like say from the time that Tom Allen took that position as a coach, head coach and stuff, and the players are that have been on the team over the years, and the ones that have, obviously, once the players, every year, players, leave because they're a senior. Then you have new players come on the team that are freshmen. Well, the problem with that is, I've watched the players and stuff and these games and stuff, and then I've watched how they play, and I have to say that IU football players are lazy as shit and very pathetic players. It's not Tom Allen's fault, nor is having Kurt Cinetti, however you pronounce his name, there as a coach, putting him in place, Kurt Signetti, that's how you pronounce it, I believe. That's not going to solve the problem with, player performance. Having a better coach, or a so-called, and I'm going to put that in quotes, a so-called better coach. I don't know a whole lot about Kurt Signetti. I don't know him personally either. And I would say from what I was watching when I watched the exhibition game that he was pretty frustrated about how those players are playing. And I would absolutely agree if he was truly frustrated and pissed off deep down inside about how the players are and how they're just not picking up the pace or not doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do things and playing the right plays. And I've watched junior high school players play football, and then I've watched little kids in between the ages of 8 and 10 years old play football, and these lazy ass IU football players are just they play way worse than the 8 to 10 year old kids play when they play football. They're just lazy, and they're just act like a bunch of whippersnappers that are, when I say whippersnappers, I don't mean like little kids. They're just a bunch of wimps, and that can be snapped in two. What I mean by that is, it wouldn't take much for some other, Division II or Division III college football team to come on and play against them and beat their ass. It just wouldn't. Like, say, for example, you have like a small college, like say Rutgers, come in and they're playing Rutgers or something, and Rutgers ends up beating their ass, for example. And it's a small school, and then that's just how pathetic IU football players are. I'm sure that they're going to get some new players that may be good players. Who knows what this season's going to turn out to be. These new freshman players that are, coming on, because every year they got to have new freshman players come on, and, they have some other ones come in that, want to play for the team, and, and then you got some really good, juniors and seniors. But, you got to have an abundance of good players. Otherwise, your team's going to be, a bunch of cowards, sissies, or not sissies, cowards, and lazy as shit. What makes a good football player is, years of dedicated playing, experience. That's the other part to it. And also just the extreme drive, I'm gonna put it this way, and I don't care how people feel about it. I am, even though living here in Bloomington, I am a Boilermakers fan. I am a Purdue fan. I really am. And the reason why I like Purdue is way better than other schools, and they're just a much better playing team, much better football team than IU ever thought about being. And and the school itself has more unique programs in the university than IU does. IU has more of like the medical kind of field of study and the arts. But when it comes to Purdue, they have a lot of science programs, engineering programs. They have like just the engineering program is just, phenomenal. And then they got their Purdue Global program. So I've been to West Lafayette before, and I do have to say that I haven't actually been on the campus or been close to the campus of Purdue, but I do have to say that where I've been is in West Lafayette many times before. I've been there, and it's a wonderful place to be. So another, one thing I said before about IU basketball is I said, well, one thing is there's no two things about it. There's no two shits or a fuck about it. That IU versus Purdue when it comes to basketball, the Boilers, they're going to boil them. I said this was funny. I said, well, just wait and see. The Boilermakers are going to boil them. And sure enough, every time, I don't want to say that to be written in stone, but you can bet your money that they're either going to win by a few points or they're going to smoke them. That's all there is to it when it comes to the Boilers. The Boilermakers. They're going to boil them like a bunch of lobsters. So back to what I'm saying about IU football. And, like I said, I'm a Purdue fan, but I'm also really support and really think about a lot, and I've been thinking about them a lot too, is Notre Dame. I talked about Notre Dame before. I said, I've looked at the roster as far as the games that are being played for this upcoming season, and I didn't see Notre Dame on there. And the other team that I think would be a really good team to play against for them, and definitely they would kick their ass. There's no two shits or a fuck about that, is the Florida Gators. I'm not sure if they played the Florida Gators before or not, but I may be wrong. I just, it's kind of a interesting kind of thing to think about. But one school I thought that would be cool for them to play against, and this would be the Volunteers, Tennessee Volunteers. They would definitely, in a way, smoke IU's ass when it comes to, good plays and stuff. And I looked at the roster, like I said, and I'm kind of like, my thoughts are all over the place today, but, a lot of the schools on there are a lot of the schools that they previously played last season, and I'm like, you guys can't get together and kind of like make a good schedule of like maybe mixing it up, and get some other good colleges to play against that you may have not played against in years, or you may have never played against, who knows. But like I seen that and I said, like, yeah, they got a couple other teams that I don't know about, but they also got a bunch of other teams I do know about, and one of them is Rutgers, and I'm gonna see how that goes. But they always put Purdue close to the end, or if not at the end. I think they do that on purpose because of the Oak and Bucket game. They who can take home the Oak and Bucket. I think that's what the end of the season is. Like the last game of the season is Purdue. It's always been a love-hate, kind of battle, which, it's understandable because Purdue is just, they have a long history of smoking IU. And one of the teams that I haven't seen on, like I said, on the roster in years, I really, in the past few years I've looked at the roster, I was like, they don't have Notre Dame on there, and I'm like, what a shame, man. Because I know one thing, that Notre Dame, they don't call them the Fighting Irish for nothing. And, these lazy IU players, will get smoked if they were to ever play Notre Dame. And there's no two things about that. Another strong team is Michigan. Michigan, I seen it, like, I think Michigan was like the first or the second game. One of the years I watched IU football, and it was like the second game was a home game for us, and it was Michigan was playing, and they absolutely just trashed us. But they deserved it too. IU deserved it. Now Michigan State, that's another good team. I think it's the Spartans. The Spartans are tough. There's no two things about it. And it is what it is. But I would love for them to. I would love for them to play Notre Dame, but I don't think that they're gonna put that in the schedule anytime soon. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen it in years on the schedule for the football, season for IU. But I haven't, I can't remember, about basketball if we played Notre Dame here recently or, in the past few years. I just know that they played some other teams in basketball this past season, and the season ended in like March. But that I can't think of like what the teams were. I would have to go look it up again. But when it comes to Notre Dame, it's like I said, they can kick their ass, and that's just how it is. But like I was saying before, you can blame, coaches. You can blame, Tom Allen for being a bad coach. If you look down to the truth of the matter of it is, it's all about the players. So, like, say, for example, like, here's a good example. Like, say if you got a company and you got a bunch of bad employees, and then you want to blame the boss, the supervisor, or the company manager, whatever his title is, and fire him. But then it's like, you gotta look at the employees. So, you gotta look at the employees and see, like, what is their work performance like. It's the same thing with football, basketball, soccer, whatever the sports team is. You gotta look at the players. And what I'm trying to tell you is, like I said, junior high school players can play way better than those, lazy asses on the IU football team. The Bloomington North Cougars, they they're tough, but they play way better than the IU football team does. And they got coaches that are not even like near as fascinating or cool or whatever as Kurt Cincinnati, whatever his name is. But that's another thing I might make a video about, like, the battle in between, like the cats and stuff, like Cougars versus Panthers and stuff. Who do you root for? Who do you support? I'm gonna give you a clue right now, or I'm gonna just straight out give you the answer, not a clue. But I was a Cougar, but I definitely have to say, since I live on the south side of town, I support the south side. I support the Panthers. It is what it is. But I guess, what I'm trying to say here, I'm trying to wrap it up here, is I haven't made a video for a long time, and hey, it is what it is. I'm telling you the truth about things, and IU made a very stupid decision just, to blame Tom Allen for, like, how their performance is, and stuff. And I can tell you right now from watching how they play, they're just they're just worthless. I don't want to say they're totally worthless. I mean, let's put it this way. They got a lot of growing up to do, and they got a lot of growing up to do real fast. And, if they want to be successful, they got to, get out there and, play hard, get their mind focused on the real deal instead of going around fucking around, acting like they know it all. And they don't. They don't know shit. Because, they think they know, but the test is when you get up there to play, or against a school that has had a lot of experience, with like a lot of these players from these other schools. They're dedicated. That's the word, is they're dedicated to the game. And when you got a bunch of players who are absolutely dedicated to the game, things good happen out of it. Great things happen. And it's just, that would make me really happy if, Purdue was actually put more up there close to the top of the roster in the early part of the season, so that way that if they were to play Purdue like on the their second game or something like that, it would teach them a lesson, because Purdue would end up boiling them and smoking them, and it'd probably make them sit down and think about what their bullshit that they are doing, and reevaluate their fucking laziness as far as in players, and about their worthless bullshit behavior when it comes to being a good team. But I'm gonna get off here and really think about what I'm telling you, and if you don't like what I say, I don't care how you feel. You just need to learn how to deal with it and accept it. Take it as is. And remember, I am right, you are wrong, I win and you lose. And that's what settles it.